ACEOs, art cards, editions and originals. So I'm going to show you how to make your first ACEO. And if you've made them before, maybe you just want to watch and see how I make my ACEOs, because I've got a couple of little tricks that I've learnt along the way. It's pretty simple and easy, it's great fun. Let's get started. So an ACEO is 2.5 by 3.5 inches. The idea being that it's a sort of little art trading card that you can sell or swap or display, whatever you want. But the idea is it is always the same size, standardized, and therefore exchangeable as a sort of medium of art within itself. So what I have done, I mean, earlier in my ACEO days, I kept getting the sizes a bit wrong. You know, when you do the cutting, you just mess it up a bit, and you know, it doesn't really matter, it's painting, isn't it? But the best way I think to do it is to make a cutout if you're going to be making a few ACEOs, a sort of a reference piece of card that you can use so that they're always the same size whenever you cut them out. The paper I'm going to use, you could use paper or card, you could even use wood panel or metal, I guess, if you wanted. But I use paper, it's watercolour paper, it's about 300 GSM, I think. So the higher the GSM number, the thicker the card. You can get lots of different kinds with various textures or non-textures. This one is a little bit textured, and it's what I'm going to use today. So to cut out your ACEO, you want a really nice sharp edge that looks kind of professional and nice. You don't want it to be rough with little bits hanging off. So it's quite important to cut your piece of card not only the right size but really cleanly as well. And I suggest you could either use a little guillotine. For some reason I find those difficult to use and I always end up doing them a bit wrong. So I used craft knife, which is basically the easiest, or at least the cheapest way as well to do it. So I'm going to get my paper, I'm going to get my blank, shall we call it, my reference piece of card. I line it up onto my paper, make sure it's exactly on the edges and there, and then I'm going to score down both sides. I'm not going to cut it out right now, I'm just going to get the line. So I've got the line, and then I'm going to use a metal ruler to cut it out. There we go. Now a lot of ACEOs have borders on them because it kind of frames the painting within. And you could leave a white border around the edge and put masking or decorating tape, which we'll discuss in a minute, on the edges. Tape it down to something, do your painting, and when you peel it off you'll have a nice white border. The problem with that can be paint can quite easily leak under, even with the best tapes. It will happen every now and again. So the way I combat it, and I think looks slightly better, is to put a coloured border underneath, which means painting the whole piece of card. And if we do that with acrylic paint, I'm going to add a little bit of medium in there, matte medium, and that's going to make, when I put the tape on, a much more sealed edge and should give me a sharper edge for my painting on top. So whenever I do any messy painting where I'm just going everywhere, get my messy paint board out, I can just put this on here. Now I can just paint everywhere, doesn't matter where the paint goes. The board underneath I like to use for more precise things and cutting and things like that. For the paint, just got a Greek yogurt pot lid. I can put the paint in there. And I'm going to go a bit different. I'm going to use a couple of colours. I'm going to use a little bit of cadmium red. This is acrylic paint. And that is cadmium orange acrylic paint. Use any acrylic paint you've got. Use any paint you've got. Doesn't really matter. Obviously, oil paints will take a long time to dry. So this is my matte medium, and that's going to make a nice painted surface for the paint that goes on top, and hopefully when I tape it down the sides on the border it should give a nice tight border. So really what I'm doing is putting matte medium down with a bit of paint in to colour it up. So about that much matte medium. You don't have to do this, this is just a nice little extra I like to do to make it look extra sharp. You could, as I said, leave the border white, or you could not even have a border, or you can do this and have a painted border, or you could paint a border maybe afterwards, but I think that probably looks a bit messier than doing it this way around. So I quite like it when the paints are not fully mixed, so I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to splodge around quite roughly like this, and then that's going to create a sort of two-tone texture and a bit of a gradient to the paint on the piece of card slash watercolor paper, I guess is what we're doing with. This is where it gets a bit messy, look, so I don't want to get my finger on there because I don't want a fingerprint. That's it, and then just use the end of my finger there just to calm it down, and I want to get rid of any white. So my ACEO has dried, and the next thing I'm going to do is stick it down to my board so I can paint the painting on it. This is the tape I use. It's called Frog Tape. It's a low tack delicate surfaces one. There's different types. The blue one is not as delicate. This yellow one is the most delicate one for delicate surfaces in decorating. It's still not super delicate for painting. I know there is various tapes available at art stores and stuff. I don't know which ones are good and which ones are not, so maybe do a bit of research on that. But I do know that just ordinary masking tape is not going to be great. And what's going to happen is, especially if you leave this unpainted, is it's going to just pull the paper off and give it that sort of furry look. So choose your tape carefully, I guess is what I'm saying. This tape's wider than the one I normally buy. It's a bit too wide, but we'll roll with it. You could sort of draw lines and everything where you want to stick this down, but I just think the eye knows best. Just eyeball it, get it straight. You know what you're looking for, and with a bit of practice, you'll get it right. Because even if you do draw little lines or stuff, you've still got to rely on your steady-handedness to match those lines. So maybe just practice taping things down. It's not so difficult with these small ones anyway. You want to try and make sure you've got right angles in the corners, and that obviously your border is the same basic thickness all the way around. If it's a little bit off, doesn't really matter. So just be aware where you want it, about there. And the most important thing's going to be is to make sure the side that's closest to where you're going to paint is well stuck down so that paint doesn't go underneath that tape. Now, one last trick you can do if you do have matte medium is you can paint some of that over these edges where the tape is, and then that is going to seal those edges down and it's going to stop paint getting underneath. So I'm going to do that. The ACEOs I have painted so far have all been kind of abstracted landscapes, and I think for the beginner that's a great place to start, and that's what I'm going to do today. So if you don't know what to paint on your ACEO, then you can try this and I'll show you how I do it. It's pretty simple, and it uses a paintbrush to start with, and then just a way of making marks later on. I use a knife blade sometimes, but maybe we could use the edge of a piece of paper or cardboard today, because everyone's probably got that lying around. See how that works. This is the brush I just used to paint the orange on for the background of the ACEO. So the brush is a little damp still, and when I apply the paint, that's going to help it flow. If you've got a dry brush, maybe a little spray bottle, mist bottle like this, and you can mist it very, very lightly. That's going to help the paint flow around. So it's very simple to do this style of painting. We need a sort of sky area, and it's going to lead into a sort of mid-ground and a foreground. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a small amount of yellow paint on the top for the sky there. I'm going to put a little bit of gold. You use whatever colours you have. I'll put a little bit of gold at the bottom. And for the middle, I'm going to do a little bit of green gold. Get a little tiny mist with my spray bottle, and then I'm just going to go left to right and blend it in, top to bottom like this. Going down into the green, get into the gold. Then we want to dab those edges and just make sure that the edges are well covered. Anywhere where we can see the orange, we don't necessarily want that. And then up at the top here, we can blend it in here like this, a bit across the top. And I'm going to try and get into all the little textured bits of the paper and work the paint in. For the next bit, I just have a little piece of cardboard. It is off a frame mount that you place around paintings. You could use anything like plastic credit card type thing, probably not an actual credit card, but you know, like a store card that you don't use or something. You could use a knife blade, which I often do, or anything thin. You could even use a piece of watercolor paper for this dragging technique that we're going to do. So just on the edge on the tape, put a little bit of white paint there. That's going to be my first color that I drag to try and make a sort of cloud line, I guess. And then I'm going to take the paint onto the card, and I'm just going to go across like that. There we go. And the pressure that you put on will change the effect that it gives. So if you do a light drag, then it'll sort of leave the paint on a bit more thickly. And if you do a heavy drag, it'll kind of pull it into the texture a bit more. Now what I kind of want is to push that way a bit, I think, and to bring some of the underneath colours, the colours on the lower layers, to come through. Any paint that's left over can wipe off with a little bit of paper towel. Let's put a mid-ground colour in. I want to use the green gold again a little bit more heavily. So this is an olive green colour that when it mixes with other colours like white can be create quite a lot of interesting different tones. Now, because I'm pulling across this way, I want the paint to be over that side and not mix too much with that. So I don't want to put it on this side and pull and then have to drag through here. So I want to pull it on the bottom and drag like that. So this is creating the sort of mid-ground of the painting. The horizon is kind of there in the middle, and we want to create a bit of interest. You can do that in a number of ways with this technique. Just dab in a line across, can sort of help print a horizon on, and then that sort of heavier bit looks like a little distant hill or mountain or something like that. Now, I've still got some of the paint left, so I'm going to pull it heavier, more firmly across the lower bit, and then more gently just try and blend it in up here. And then I'm going to put a little bit of yellow on there, and I'm going to do a little bit of red as well. A little bit of red, a little bit of yellow. And I'm going to go this way across. just pull it in. And each time I'm going to change the angle a little bit to create a bit of interest as we go. Just going to pull some different lines in, quite like that. And let's just try sort of. Now I've still got quite a lot of paint left here, so I'm going to be a bit bold and I'm going to try and lean into the horizon and add some extra colour to there, actually just there. And hopefully that'll improve it rather than take away from it. And using this technique, it doesn't matter if you're mixing paints and getting things contaminated, because it creates a bit of variation and interest. And if you're sticking with a theme of colours, it's gonna look fine. So I've made the most basic elements of a landscape a sky with a horizon, some sort of basic abstracted interest in the background of the horizon area, a midground with a little bit of variation and these little yellow lines, and then a foreground here as well. So that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm going to take the tape off. So when you take the tape off, you want to pull away from the paint, and you want to do it gently, just like that. If the paint's wet, that's kind of good in a way, because it should help leave a sharp edge without the paint sort of drying and then peeling off in bigger chunks. It should just come off in a straight line because the paint is wet. So you can be quick and just pull it straight off. You don't need to wait for it to dry. One thing you should do is take the pieces that are on the top off first. You can always pin it down with a finger. This you need to take your time with, and it will leak under the edges every now and again, but because I use that matte medium and the painted edge technique, it is sharp so far. Let's see the last one. Okay, so there it is, and we just need to leave it to dry now. So there you go, there's the ACEO. And hopefully, if you've not tried painting before, you're new to painting, or you've not done an ACEO before, it's a really cool way to get into this style of painting, using these little sort of little tools for dragging. You know, there's a lot of different things you can do with it, but it's quite simple. And sometimes holding a brush and painting a line can feel quite scary in some ways, and this, I think, is a little bit more akin to printing and mark making, and it's really good to get the brain into the idea of how to paint and, you know, have a nice time doing it as well. Obviously, if you want to use the brush, you go for the brush as well. Give it a go. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Anything more like this I can do to help? Let me know and we can do those videos for you. Have a good day. See you later.